My job like 2 weeks ago now, and I'm here because I just took a chance. I came to Europe, and I'm like well protected and taken care of. Don't worry, everything is okay. But I'm here because this is an important topic to me, and I've been blessed in my life to have experiences that show me how important the husband-wife relationship is, and how important this topic is, and I'm like so grateful to be here. I'm so moved by everyone that's here. I know that there's a lot of preparation that went into being here. I don't know if you've come from far away. I don't know if you took time off school. I don't know if you had to maybe reschedule certain things in your life to be able to be here. But the effort is appreciated, and we're really moved by that, and we're grateful for you. Now we're going to talk about something that True Father never shied away from talking about. We're going to talk about sex. We're going to talk about intimacy. We're going to talk about things that our society doesn't want to talk about. But the most amazing thing about it is that you wouldn't exist, right, without sex. Like, you wouldn't exist, actually. Two people had to come together and create you. That's why it's so important, because you exist because of it. It's a relationship that creates life. And we have to talk about it, because it's that powerful and it's that beautiful. So thank you. I love you all. It's wonderful to see your faces. I want to welcome up Uncle David. And actually, it's because of him and his wife that this is possible. They've given a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of, in a sense, offering up their family to be here. And when I think about that, I'm like moved, because I know, well, I don't know yet, I'm not a parent, but I can imagine like how much that takes to give. So I want to welcome up Uncle David. He's going to open us up and welcome you all to this event. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for welcoming us here to your community. Peter asked us to come, he begged us to come, and then I know he contacted a lot of you who are here too. And then there was Hans, right? And yeah, you were there last year, and Liliana. So it's a big foundation for us being here. My wife and I, Missy, come on up here. We're Lesson 82, Madison Square Garden. And we've got 7 children. We've got a pretty successful crab business in the Pacific Northwest. And God has been really good to us. He's blessed our finances, our business, and our marriage, especially. So we really wanted to give back to God. We wanted to offer something to Him. And also to our community. We saw that our community, a lot of couples were struggling. And so we thought, the most fitting thing that we wanted to share was something that could help couples to create deeper intimacy in their relationship. So we began the Blessed Marriage Project. Blessed Marriage Project the concept was to have a series of energized marriage retreats. They're weekend retreats for the purpose of reinvigorating marriages. And about 3.5 years ago, at one of those retreats, I had my first glimpse of how widespread internet pornography had become. During one of those retreats, we had a breakout, men's breakout, and during the breakout, the subject of porn came up. And when the subject of porn came up by Kevin Thompson, actually, who was there, you could hear a pin drop. You could tell that was the subject that hit home for a lot of people, that a lot of men were dealing with, were struggling with, but nobody was talking about. I had my own struggle with pornography. It began 7 years ago. I would find myself looking at my smartphone and looking at pornography on it. And I felt I was living a double life. It was really impacting and having consequences on my marriage. It was causing me to look at Mitzvah differently, look at women differently. And so I tried to quit. And I just kept coming back time and time again. So finally I restricted the internet on my smartphone, and I was porn free for 2 years. Then I had a slip. And all that shame and guilt and despair, it came back to me. I knew that I should talk to somebody about it. But the last thing that I wanted to do, the very last thing, was to tell anybody what I was doing. But I knew that was the only way I could get free. So the very next day, I told a friend, and I asked him to be my accountability partner. And I shared with Mitzvah for the first time that she cried when I shared with her. And eventually, we talked about it, and she forgave me. And I knew I did the right thing. Our marriage has always been the most important thing in my life, and I didn't want anything to come between us. After the retreat, I called a meeting of the staff members, and I asked them, is pornography a problem in the Unification Church? They all said porn is a huge problem in the Unification Church. And I realized that I wasn't the only one who struggled with pornography, but it was affecting our whole community and our whole generation of young people. So right then and there that day, we felt God called us to address the problem of pornography in the church. We started off by contributing $50,000 to hiring a full-time director. Little did we know that pornography had already become an epidemic, both in the church and in the world, and that this would just be a drop in the bucket. The first thing we did was try to get educated. And 6 months later, I heard about this summit, Christian summit, given by Josh McDowell. And he was inviting experts from all areas, agnostic professors that were brain scientists, people that were working in addiction and psychology, and he invited a Catholic priest and Mormons to come. So all these experts were there, and I thought, I've really got to go to this. So Mitzi and I signed up. We were very excited, and it was only 3 weeks before the event. But I thought, gosh, our church leaders have to hear about this. They have to know how pornography is devastating our church. And so I started calling church leaders. And within 3 weeks, we got 40 of our top church leaders to come to this. Afterwards, there's Andrew Love there. And I don't know if you know anybody else there. But afterwards, we started having conversations with people. I had conversations with young people, and I share about how I understood that pornography is almost unavoidable today, especially for the youth, and how it can destroy relationships, and how quickly it can become an addiction. And we started having conversations about what is good sex and what's bad sex, what's heavenly sex and what's fallen sex. These are the conversations nobody was having. These are the conversations that we avoid in families and in our church. But True Father never avoided them. He had these conversations all the time. He was very upfront. When I'd ask young people, I'd ask them, how are you doing in pornography? And they'd often open up to me. And they'd tell me how they stumbled on it in middle school and just kept coming back to it even though they tried to quit, something that they tried to quit. One young man said, I've struggled with this secret for years in middle and high school. The way you speak makes it feel that we're loved and that everything will be okay. Another young man, I feel liberated. I thought I was the only one who struggled with porn and that I was a lost cause. I see how widespread of a problem it is and that there's hope for me. Sharing with you has cleaned away all my shame and made me feel so loved. And it really breaks my heart that young people feel like a lost cause. They need to know that they're loved. that they can be fully known by their family, their friends, by God. They can be fully known no matter where they've been, no matter what they've done, they can be fully loved. A year later, we had our first summit at the IPEC with 240 people, mostly from America, but we had 25 people from around the world. And later on that summer, we spoke at GTGY in Korea with 1,300 young people, and we took the first ever pornography survey in our church. We found some statistics, some facts that I think you'll find very interesting. We also got 1,100 anonymous testimonies, which were very powerful, very hard to read. I read through all of them, and all the ones that were in English and translated into English, and they're very tearful. We shared the results of our survey and those testimonies with our leaders and went throughout the churches in Korea. Last year, we took a tour through Southeast Asia, 7 countries, and right now we are beginning a tour. We're beginning our second week of an 8-week tour in Europe, where we'll be speaking in 26 communities, 16 different nations. Only 7% of churches in America either speak about pornography or offer any kind of solution. And I found in Southeast Asia, Europe, the rest of the world, it's even less. And this silence from the church and from parents on this issue has led to a lot of confusion, especially with our young people. And they thought, maybe it's not so bad as long as I keep my purity. Internet porn has replaced the school, the church, and the home as a source of sex education. And where should sex education be taught? True Father said that the family is a school of love. So at High Noon, we began a new initiative 1 year ago. It's actually being led by Reverend Vincent's daughter, Lena Gavin, and her husband. And with School of Love, we seek to teach parents how to have difficult conversations with their children about sex and about pornography. The kind of conversations that most families avoid, right? Who here had a conversation, a healthy conversation with their parents about sex? Okay, 1, 2, okay. Yeah. It doesn't happen very often. So we want to change avoidance into excitement, because it is something to be excited about, right? It's a topic that it gives our children access to love, to marriage, to the blessing. Father says that's the root of the kingdom of heaven, right? From shame and judgment to grace, from fear and anxiety to joy. Why is High Noon here today? We are here to empower and to equip you and the people you love to live a life without shadows, to develop and grow sexual integrity into your life. And before that, we have to look at the blocks, the roadblocks that are in the way. And we want to help you to have conversations with people in your life, conversations that are pretty unusual in our society, in our family, and in our church community. But we'd like to help you to have these conversations and to empower you to live a life without shadows, the kind of life that God intended each of us to live. So we have a very exciting message for you tonight. I'd like to welcome up and Semi. Sorry.